Well, the new thing is, of course, that we have SMBs, we have enterprises, we have hospitals, we have manufacturing. All of them are now going for 5G. If you think about all the AI applications in your smartphones, moving into glasses, AI-based assistant in your glasses, all of that will put new requirements onto network. India has taken some really important decisions, actually not just now, but over the last period, which has enabled this fantastic rollout of 5G, the fastest rollout in the world. A foresighted government that is seeing what's around the corner and make sure there is enough licensed spectrum available. We have been fortunate to serve India and be in India since 1903. We have also expanded part of the portfolio very much in what we're doing in Bangalore, in Chennai, here in sort of close by in Gurgaon.
Hi, I'm Danish from Money Control, and we have Erik Ekudden joining us for the Money Control podcast. He's the CTO of Swedish Telecom gear maker Ericsson. Welcome to the podcast, Erik.
Well, thanks for having me, Danish.
So, we have met in the past covering, I covered Mobile World Congress, India Mobile Congress since last 9 years. We always discuss Indian telecom industry, global telecom industry and the advancements. Now that you have joined India Mobile Congress this year, what sort of what is your experience? Like, you have spoken with a lot of stakeholders. What changed that you see in the Indian market now?
I think it's a good starting point. The energy that we see now in IMC 25, it's just bustling everywhere. I have to say I saw a little bit of that same feeling already last year, because I think India has now one of the world's strongest 5G networks, and of course that brings the industry to a new point. Then it's not about deployment as such, it's much more about what you can do with the technology, what 5G can enable in not just consumers but enterprise space. And I think that is really the takeaway for the whole industry. There are those front-running markets where 5G it started to be leveraged to its full extent. And that creates sort of opportunities. We talked about the growth opportunities that come with that. That's what I see. That doesn't mean that, of course, everything is done, because we still have some more rollout, we still have some more upgrades of networks. But in a way, we have reached almost this pivoting point where we're moving into the second wave of 5G and of the whole mobile industry.
Right. During the speeches and during the roundtables, Indian government officials and the minister, even Prime Minister Modi talked about 6G and what India is doing and what is the aspiration when it comes to 6G, like giving our feedback into the 3GPP standard, because India wants our needs to be included in the standard. So how do you see India's role so far? Do you think this is the right strategy to start early and have a say in terms of development of the new standard in the telecom industry?
I think so. I think having a strong view, which is long-term, because telecom is an industry that is continuous evolving, but it's a long-term investment, and digital infrastructure is critical infrastructure. So I, of course, see all the reasons to be early or to be leading and driving in that. I think there is something really important to be said about the evolution now. That's why I mentioned the second wave, or moving into the new way of thinking about mobile systems. It starts with 5G today, actually. And that will evolve into 6G. And what is really new then? Well, the new thing is, of course, that we have SMBs, we have enterprises, we have hospitals, we have manufacturing. All of them are now going for 5G and a resilient cloud infrastructure as their digital infrastructure to build applications on, AI applications or smartphone applications. All of that happens when you have a strong 5G network. Then you're moving into the second phase. And that's where 6G comes in, because there are requirements already that we see from these use cases that are not satisfied with 5G. And of course, an upgrade then, getting into, let's say, a 2030 time frame, that needs to be started planning for right now.
Right. At the global scale, global level, AI is getting all the attention. So what is AI doing in the telecom world?
Well, AI is everywhere, both in terms of AI applications as well as AI in the network. And if you think about all the AI applications in your smartphones, moving into glasses, AI-based assistant in your glasses, all of that will put new requirements onto networks. So it's very important for us to be able to serve our customers, operators primarily, with the best network for AI. And that journey has already started with 5G leading into 5G standalone, network slicing, network APIs to be able to program that network to create a great AI experience. But then you have the other sort of side of the coin, which is really that already since some years we have built in AI and autonomous functions into the networks, in the radio network, in the core network, in the orchestration, and that of course gives two things. It gives operational efficiency, which I think is what every operator is looking for, but perhaps more importantly, it gives the ability to differentiate services, create tailored user experience for different sectors, for different customer groups, and certainly differences between enterprise and consumers. All of this, when you can do that at scale with the help of AI in the network, autonomous network level 4 will enable that. I think that's opening up a growth opportunity. So operators have a chance to capture a big part of the new growth here.
Right. So beyond AI, which are the futuristic technologies telecom industry is working on, players like Ericsson is focused on? Because a few years back, Open RAN, vRAN, they were kind of the buzzword in the industry, but that is no longer there. Maybe they have evolved into something else. But from an Ericsson perspective, which are those things that the industry is focused on at the moment?
Yeah, well, first of all, I think openness is something we're driving very consciously, and it will be with us as we move into 5G Advanced and 6G as well. But I think that what you may find sort of new and exciting technologies, we probably have either a showcase here in IMC as a lab or a proof of concept, something that's already being researched in our R&D facilities, a lot of it actually together with university partners like the IITs here in India. But what's next? Think about what you can do with a network when you can do this super granular, segmented, differentiated services for any kind of IoT device, any kind of enterprise or consumer service. There's a lot of innovation that happens in that cross area of AI and networks. Another big topic, I think, is to explore what networks can be used for as sensors. We have this integrated sensing and communication, ISAC, which is something that is being put on the table for 6G standardization, and some things can be done even earlier than that. And then if you look kind of beyond that, it's really about creating the better link between the applications that need capabilities and the networks that provides capabilities. So we are pretty exciting about the momentum that is now building when it comes to network APIs, programmability. We have Ericsson Vonage, we have the Aduna joint venture together with some of the world's leading CSPs where they can expose their Camara APIs from networks. They get easily consumed over one platform, no matter where you are in the world, no matter what kind of application you have, and you know how to pay for it. That kind of network API ecosystem is just starting to form, and we see a great opportunity in that. And then, of course, I would be remiss not to mention all this cool stuff that is happening when you fuse, for example, medical tech with 5G, 6G. When you look at, and we have an example actually here about how to innovate on top of the network with ECG sensors that are 5G powered, would democratize healthcare for doctors in a completely different way. So the innovation that is already happening, and not the least here in the ecosystem in India, that I think is super exciting.
So is this where we or Ericsson will help telcos solve the monetization problem, opening up APIs, resulting in use cases, and ensuring that telcos have enough monetization on their 5G investments?
I think some of the leading operators, they are doing part of this on their own, and then we can of course support and help operators to create those services. But what you find is that a large part, in fact the majority of all the applications and all the developers, they are looking for something that works multi-country, multi-operator, and that's where we have taken this initiative to make sure that it can scale practically everywhere. It's hard for an individual operator, even if they have great size perhaps in their country, to get the scale that's required. And that is what we are bringing. Then of course this is an effort that we do together with the operator partners, so they gain from it by having of course more of their services consumed.
Right. Since you work on technology evolution and a lot of mindshare is going to SATCOM at the moment because of the stakes of companies like SpaceX, Starlink, because they have enough investments towards sending those satellites to the space. Do you think going forward, maybe let's say in 4 to 5 years, we will have pure convergence between terrestrial and satellite networks, LEO satellites playing a larger role? not just for the rural divide, but for the urban areas to fill the gap. Do you think that is the possibility? Do you think SATCOM becoming major in coming years?
Yeah, I think that is very likely for a few obvious reasons. I think you mentioned some of them in terms of launch capacity and the capability of these satellites. But it also is a journey that we've been on and actually pioneering and driving for many years. You may be familiar with the way that satellite technology can be integrated with 5G and 6G through the so-called NTN or non-terrestrial network capabilities. So the complement of satellite to terrestrial, I think, will be a great addition over the coming years. And to your point, it's not just the oceans and the super rural, hard to reach places. I think they will be very much helping each other. It's of course so that the large part of the capacity and everything that a user will come to expect when it comes to user experience will be over the terrestrial network, but it becomes a very good and important complement.
Right. In India, how do you see the current policy or regulations for the telecom industry on the spectrum side, on the policy which support ease of doing business, technology development? How do you see the moves made by the Indian government? Do you think we are on the right path, or some interventions are required to ensure faster availability, affordable availability of spectrum to the telecom operators so that they can ensure that technologies like 5G and in future 6G is timely rolled out in the market?
Well, it may be more a question for our customers since they are directly affected. But what I observe from our point of view is that India has taken some really important decisions, actually not just now, but over the last period, which has enabled this fantastic rollout of 5G, the fastest rollout in the world. But it has also enabled basically the inclusion of everyone in India to be able to have 5G services, if not now, in the very near term future. I see the same foresight on the government side now when it looks to the future. I think you mentioned before the upcoming 6G cycle and what that will bring with it. I'm hopeful. Of course, this is for government to decide, but I'm hopeful that India will pave the way also by releasing and making sure there is enough licensed spectrum as you need to evolve capacity-wise. And then you go to 60, but also performance-wise, because one of the things that I think the industry is now realizing is that what we've been used to, which is to build networks and optimize networks for very downlink heavy traffic, typically web browsing and videos, and many services are great in that space. But in the future, we will have much more uplink traffic, and that's a demanding service on the network. So you need more spectrum, you need good uplink spectrum, and that will enable completely new experiences. I was mentioning the AI glasses. I think they are already becoming commercial now, but think 1 to 2 years out, they will require much more from the network. So a foresighted government that is seeing what's around the corner and make sure there is enough licensed spectrum available. I think that's really the right strategy.
Right. Due to the ongoing geopolitical situations, a lot of focus is on the cybersecurity of the networks and also the digital sovereignty of networks. What are your views and how is Ericsson ensuring that your customers and clients are confident about their networks in the current setup?
I think rightly, governments and our customers, operators, take this very serious, and that's why Ericsson has been driving and, you could say, pioneering the way to create cyber resilience or security by design, security by default in our product since long. We have an internal process that we share with our customers in terms of how to deal with security in the networks, privacy in the networks. But I think what has happened, and perhaps more accentuated now when networks are used not just for consumers but for enterprises and public safety and governments and maybe even defense, is that you get a completely new set of requirements in terms of resilience. So you need to start to make sure that networks keep current, not just the software and the hardware because of security, but that you have resilience. So when something happens, could be a weather event or worse, what is the resilience strategy? What is a backup strategy? And there we are working alongside our customers to ensure that these networks can actually not just be improved, but that they can stand up to much, much tougher requirements in the future. And I think if you think of it more from a society point of view, critical to be able to offer these kind of services. But it's also, in essence, a business opportunity because, of course, operators, they were in the past mainly focused on consumer-based services and relatively sort of simple services. We call them best effort services because they are very good, but there are no guarantees. Now we need to move into the space where you actually come with guarantees, SLA-based services. And that's a business opportunity to start to segment network services into high-end, more sort of mid-range, and then of course more best effort at the low end. And they cannot have the same price. It's simply impossible to deliver these super high performance services at the top end of the segmentation at the same low price as a low end. So segmentation is inevitable, and I think we're going in that direction with quite some speed now.
Right. In terms of India's relevance, and not just as a market, but as a hub of innovation, you have large R&D center, and as a CTO, you have a lot of work to do in India and get things done. So has the work taken more importance in India in terms of developing newer telecom technologies?
It has. I have to say though that we have been fortunate to serve India and be in India since 1903, so this is not a kind of a new thing for Ericsson. But yes, you're right. We have increased our presence, but we have also expanded part of the portfolio very much in what we're doing in Bangalore, in Chennai, here in sort of close by in Gurgaon. What we are doing is to work with the latest technology. So we're working with, of course, the evolution of the cloud native systems. We're working with the evolution of IP and transport, but also AI, as AI becomes more network AI native. So we've had, since we started our effort when it comes to telecom AI, we've had a strong site in southern India. That is just continuing. We also have activities now on the hardware side with establishing an ASIC team. Some of these capabilities, they are drawing on the fantastic talent in India, but it's also very much about collaboration, because we also have fantastic teams in other parts of the world. So now we are bringing sort of the competence together across sites, and India is of course a critical part of that.
Well, Erik, fascinating conversation on various themes, and it's always a pleasure talking to you and getting an update on what's happening in the telecom world at the global level. And thank you very much for joining us for the Money Control podcast. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.